And here we go. So everyone, I talked about my friend Stacey the other night on my other channel at Kiki Classic Rock. And I have to tell you, Stacey, when I talked about how you travel alone and you go to concerts alone, I really struck a chord, I think, because there were a lot of ladies in the chat saying, I can't do that.
Yes.
Or I don't feel comfortable with doing that. So just to give you guys a little bit of a background, this is my friend Stacey. And honestly, Stacey, don't get mad at me, but I'm going, have we known each other since middle school? I think
Yes,
so.
we have. Yes, we have, because I was best friends with Paula since grade 5. And then you were best friends with Michelle. And so we were like always there all around. And I used to go with Paula and Michelle to your parties at your house.
That's so funny.
That was a lot of fun. We won't talk about that. We won't talk about that.
So it really was, I guess it was fun. But
it was a lot of fun.
So we've known each other a long time. I mean,
can I interrupt you for 1 second though? Because we were all disco girls. And I remember Michelle said, oh, she doesn't like disco. She likes that classic rock. She likes rock. And we're like, oh my God.
Well, let's be real though. I loved both. I mean, I was definitely more on the dance side back then, which and I tell everybody, yes, I love my rock and roll, but I also love my disco. I love my dance music. I love my 80s. I don't care. It is what it is. I like it all.
Well, what was that song that we were dancing and singing to when we were in New York and we were in that store?
Oh my
Jackson song.
How am I supposed to remember that?
Oh my gosh. Off the Wall.
Oh, by Michael Jackson?
Yeah, we were like dancing and singing in the store. I have it video recorded. No, you have it video recorded.
Do I?
You can play it on your show.
I'll have to find it.
You should definitely play it on your show. It's hysterical.
So, guys, again, my dear friend Stacey, and the reason why we're chatting today for all of you, because even if we can get one of you to come out of your shell a little bit and, attempt to do something or have the courage to do something by yourself. And we're talking big things here. Stacey is not, we're not talking about going to Dollar Tree alone.
Yeah, no, I'm not messing around.
She isn't messing around. So Stacey, tell everybody a little bit about your background, just so everybody can kind of get to know you.
So I grew up in Providence with Kiki and our friends Michelle and Paula and a whole bunch of people. And I think the reason why I bop around and travel so much, well, I first started just going to Maine by myself, like in my mid-20s maybe. We used to go to Maine every single summer when I was growing up. So that was a place where I felt comfortable because I knew my way around and I knew people and I knew where to go and what to do. And then I've just kind of always been one of those out and about people. Like I had a boyfriend once who called me the Great Gallivanter. And, and I'll tell you, I think this is the thing. I just have a really, really bad case of FOMO. For people who don't know that, it's fear of missing out. And I'm not going to do that. I can't miss out on anything. So if there's like a concert or I really started going to musicals a lot by myself because when I was married, if I wanted to go see something or do something, if he didn't want to, he was not coming with me. So that's really when I ended up doing a lot of things by myself because I was like, well, I'm not missing out just because of him. So there was a Seinfeld concert at the PPAC, and we used to watch Seinfeld on television together all the time. And so I said, oh, Seinfeld is coming, why don't we go see him? And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, why? Well, I just don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, fine. That day, I walked down to the PPAC. No, I didn't walk down to the PPAC. I drove, and then when I went in, I bought a ticket. And guess what, ladies? Here's a big, big, big motivator. When you're buying one ticket, you get an awesome good seat. I walked right down to the front because it's one single ticket, and there's always one single ticket someplace up front.
That is great information.
I'm telling you, waiting just for you.
That's so cool. Now, I just want to back up a little bit because you talked about, well, he's now your ex-husband. Mm-hmm. And you know, you don't have to dive really deep, but it's interesting that you say, you know, when he didn't want to do things, you said, you know what, I'm gonna just do this myself. But how far into the marriage did you finally say, I want to go to this concert, I want to go to the show? I like, how did you just jump off the diving board and say, I'm just going by myself then? And how did that go over with your now ex?
Oh, he didn't care. He didn't. I mean, we like he would have, like he had his friends, I had my friends. We would do stuff like that.
Mhm.
But if none of my friends could go with me, or if none of my friends wanted to go with me, and he would not even be kind enough to just accompany me, then that's when I was like, forget this. I'm not missing out on like John Cougar at the P-PAC. No way. Come on. How hot is John Cougar? Right? I'm like, I'm not missing out on this.
It hurts so good.
It does hurt so good, man. So I would go see, I mean, La Cage aux Folles, Les Miserables, you name it, every single Broadway musical. I actually bought a subscription just for myself.
You know, and I remember when you started saying, and don't take this the wrong way, but
Yeah.
you were talking about all these things you were going to by yourself, that, and it was the Broadway musicals. That was like the big thing. And I'm
I
going,
went to New York by myself to see Broadway musicals, as you know.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And I remember the last time you went or were going to go, Michelle and I are going, you need to be careful and you need to maybe not go. And because this is when things were starting to get a little weird
Right.
in the city.
Mother
So yep,
Mother hen.
absolutely. And you know, you're just like, yeah, whatever. Like you just don't care. And I think that from us growing up in Providence, you know, we have a little bit of a harder edge. I think our shell is a little bit harder.
You know something? Somebody else said that to me. So when I was planning my trip to Italy,
Mm-hmm.
as a matter of fact, I was talking to Tommy's, who owns the pizza place.
Okay.
Okay, because he had been to Italy. He was telling me all about it and everything. And I'm like, everybody's telling me to be careful, be careful. He goes, you're from Providence, you'll be fine.
That's so funny.
I
That's
know.
so funny. And I do think that kind of helps us a little bit in life because
100%.
I'll never forget. It was going back a couple of decades ago, and I was with a group of friends, and it was 11:30 at night, and I stopped at the truck stop to get gas, and one of them said, what are you doing? I said, I need gas in my car. Well, aren't you afraid? No, I'm not afraid. I'm getting gas. And I have to say, a lot of people, women that I know too, don't pump their own gas. So I don't, and again, that's, you know, that's their thing. And I get it. But we grew up in a place we had to do all this stuff and we were used to being out late at night. And I don't think we have that fear.
I have no fear. And that's not always a good thing.
Right.
Not always a good thing. I mean, you can go out because I know, you know, you and Michelle will be like, oh, you shouldn't be in Newport, you know, walking out to your car at 1:00 in the morning. And I'm like, but this is Newport. It's like everybody's out and there's not, what's the worst that's going to happen?
I'm raising my hand. Hold up. Let's back up for 1 second.
Okay.
We told you that because, let's be real, you met somebody at the bar and you didn't know him. And we're saying, well, how do you know he's not crazy? So you're leaving the bar at 1:00 in the morning. So that was the premise behind that whole thing.
Oh, but I wasn't leaving with him though.
I know, but what if he
what if he was a crazy
from
person?
behind?
You know what? I do have to tell you, one time something happened and I was like, oh boy, maybe they're right. I'm sometimes very naive. And I had my purse on the back of my chair. I got up to go to the bathroom.
I can't.
And I swear, I got my purse. I went out to my car and my key was missing. So I went back in and I went, oh, did anybody see my key? And that guy sitting next to me said, oh, it's right here. Like, I think he took it.
So this is what all right, everybody. So we're going off the rails a little bit.
That's okay. We always do that.
We always do that. But you got to be aware of your surroundings.
That's
And
exactly.
I think that's super important. You know, Michelle and I will constantly be on your tail
I
about
know.
things like that, because now we get to the point where, well, Stacey, you know, again, her husband is her ex-husband. So you do go to, you know, some bars by yourself, but you're aware of your surroundings, and I think
Yeah.
you're good at that.
And there,
Um,
oh, it's not like I'm sitting at a bar. It's like a bar at, like, say, Avio or Twin Oaks, like something like that. So it's
well,
not like
and you know, let's face it, you're by yourself, you're going to get something to eat. A lot of people do that. I see a
and
lot of people by
I,
themselves.
I feel very, very uncomfortable taking up a table just for one person. I will sit there and go, oh no, if a couple comes in and I'm sitting at, like, say, just a small two-seater table,
Right.
I feel inclined to say, you know what, you guys come sit here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I sit at the bar more for that reason.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it like,
Yeah.
oh, you go to the bar.
Yeah,
Everybody, Stacey's at the bar. No, it's not like
I can
that.
drink just as much either place.
Exactly. So, no, it's just, but when you are living alone and you're just adapting to life and you're still trying to have a good time. Now, we haven't heard much about the bar stories lately, which is good, but we have heard a lot about your most recent trip to Italy. And this is not the first time you've been overseas yourself. So, tell us about the very first overseas trip you took alone.
Okay. So, I don't know if I should say this because it's going to sound bad.
What? Oh my God.
You can always take it out, right? You can always take it out.
Well, I mean, I can definitely edit things, but we're trying to just be,
Okay.
you know.
All right. But I don't want anybody to think, wow, what a jerk. I can't believe she was doing that. You have to remember that for 23 years, I was doing so many. I mean, we went on a lot of great trips together, but he would
Right.
always scream and holler. There'd always be an outburst.
Okay.
Like, so I would do, like I was saying before, all the musicals, all the stuff, like, by myself, right?
Right. Right.
And I had said, listen, I really want to go to England. I want to do, like, England, Scotland, and Wales. He's like, I don't want to do that. I said, fine. So it was maybe February, a year before I got divorced. And I said to myself, you know what? Oh my God, this is going to sound so bad. I said to myself, I'm not going to be able to afford to do this when I'm single, and I'm definitely leaving him. So I am doing this now because I'm not going to miss out on this, you know, my will to go and see these phenomenal places and all these great places. And I said, you know what? If he doesn't want to come, that's fine, but I'm going. And I don't want people to think, oh, she was, like, using his money, because we both worked. It was our money.
You're a hard worker.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a few minutes.
And you know what? Nobody should have to sit home and miss out on something you really, really want because you're afraid to go alone, because you're missing out on a lot. Like, I've been in New York City, right? I went for the 4th of July by myself. Oh, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned this, so just give me a second, okay?
Yes.
No matter where I go by myself, I meet the nicest people, like the nicest people. I went to the 4th of July and in New York, and I was staying at a hotel where you could see the fireworks from the roof. And I went up there. It was all these young kids. I was like, oh, this is not, I want to be, like, out with the people. So I left the hotel and I just started walking. I knew we were going towards the river, and I literally just started following, like, a crowd of people. I'm like, well, this must be the way to the river. And wouldn't you know, there was this other woman. She came over to me, single lady, and she says, is everybody going on fireworks? I said, yeah. And we got talking, and we, like, stayed together the whole night. We went out for dinner afterwards.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Kiki, I cannot tell you, even, like, when I go to Newport and I go to, say, like, 22 Bowen or, you know, wherever, people, it's amazing how, like, there'll be, like, a couple sitting next to me and they'll just stop talking to me. And next thing you know, we're sharing food, and they're like, I swear. And the wives are always like, oh, here's my thing, you know, friend me on Facebook. As a matter of fact, Somebody called me about 2 weeks ago. Somebody I met in Newport last summer. I had, she and her husband were there for a weekend, and she's like, oh, here's my number, yada, yada. She called me and she was like, oh, we're going to be in Newport for the weekend. Do you know anybody who might be renting out maybe a condo or something like that? I'm saying to myself, I just met these people, like just sitting, having cocktails and sharing food. And they still consider me kind of somebody that they know they can like be in touch with.
And a valid resource.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll give you all the best places.
A trustworthy resource. And I think that's, one of the important things. And that was one of my questions. How many people have you met during these solo trips that you've connected and stayed friends with?
I can't even begin to tell you. Oh my gosh. I would say at least 10, but when you're single, when you go out alone, people I think they know that if you're there alone, you must be outgoing. You must be friendly. And they just almost like take you under their wings sometimes. And I've met like young girls, like my daughter's age. And the funniest thing, they'll be like, oh, are you here by yourself? I'm like, yeah, I'm just, I'm out to get a pizza or whatever. And they're like, oh, so tell us, there's this guy and he likes me, but he does this and this and that. And I don't really know what to do. And you're kind of like the age of my mom. And what should I do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like hysterical.
Oh, your video just went out, Stacey.
Yeah, I know, because somebody is, I'm going to decline it. There we go.
Okay, good. You're back.
Okay, sorry, guys.
So I just think that's really cool, though, that you meet friends and, you've stayed in connection with some of them. That's really cool. But now let's talk about the money, because it's expensive to do anything today in 2024.
Yes, it is.
And you did just go to Italy. You're a single woman.
Yeah.
Also, tell everybody what you do for a living.
So I'm a reading specialist. But I think this year I might be working in a grade 4 classroom. So I'm a teacher. But I've always had a part-time job. I get very bored in the summertime. I can't sit still. So if I'm not out spending money and bopping around here and there, gallivanting, I get a part-time job. So I'm like, okay, now if I want to go out, that's my spending money. And I'll also put some of that away. I stash it away. Yeah. And I've been saving this money for a few years. Like I haven't gone on a big trip like that since when I went to England. And so I've been stashing all that money away. And I'm like, you know what? It's time. I'm going to go. I love history. I'm a crazy history geek. I got to see so much. Unbelievable. Fantastic trip.
And Italy,
but I work part-time and I save, you have to save up.
You are a worker. I mean, I always say that about you. And I think our core group of friends, we're workers. We like to constantly, be doing things. And, but in my head though, I'm going, Italy's really expensive. I would think it's a very expensive trip. So how long did it take you to save up for a magnanimous trip like that?
I want to say about 3 years.
Oh, wow. So you had it in your head. This is what you're doing. And this is how I'm going to get there.
Yeah. So I knew that I wanted to do another big trip. So all those part-time jobs, I would keep a little bit and then stash it away. Right. Every month what I do too is from work. I have so much put into my checking account, and then I have a separate little account where I have some put in there, and that just kind of grows. That's like my vacation thing. Smart. But I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No, go ahead, finish.
So I was going to say, it's important to know that you don't have to go and do these big, huge things. People can start out small if you're feeling uncomfortable about going out on your own. Start out by going to the movies by yourself. Because even a lot of people won't go to the movies on their own.
It's true.
They won't. So like, people should just start out like doing something little like that. And then maybe just taking a little day trip, go to Mystic or something, by yourself and sort of ease yourself into it if you're really not comfortable with it.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, just ease yourself into it because, I mean, you're not going to jump into going to Italy by yourself. You
Right.
know, people should start small.
And that's a great piece of advice because it's true when people just don't feel comfortable doing those types of things by themselves, starting small, I
Hmm.
think is like the best tip that
Hmm.
anybody could have because especially if, like I said, if you do live alone, you don't want to just lock yourself up in your room and never go anywhere and not do anything or experience things. And just like my other channel, we've built such a nice community over there. People connect with each other outside of when I'm on the air on Friday nights. And I think that is the coolest thing. Actually, two of the really great people in our community, they just went to a Journey concert together a couple of nights ago at Fenway in Boston.
See how nice?
And it's great. Like her husband dropped her off at the park, and our friend, so Scott and Gina, and Scott, I guess, got her a ticket, and they had a great time. So this is what I'm saying. And what you're doing is the same type of thing because you're connecting with people you don't know who they are,
Exactly.
and it's giving you another outlet to do things. So who knows, you could start doing these things alone and then end up making a friend and doing some things together with that new person you just met.
I can't even tell you. So I was just at Marquette's like 2 months ago, and a woman came in. Well, a woman was sitting next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there were three friends. So like I was on the corner like this, like here, and then she was on the corner, and then her three friends were like on this side. So she got talking to me, and we're talking and talking, and she gives me her number. She says, "Oh, I live down in there." She's an older woman.
I love it.
She says, "Oh, I live down in Narragansett." I said, "Oh, I love George's. I love to go down there." She's like, "Anytime you're gonna go down, call me." So in my phone, it says Evelyn from Marquette's, and I hadn't contacted her about 2 months ago. Well, no, I must have met her about 6 months ago because about 2 months ago, I got a message from her and it said, "Hey, I'm going to George's. Do you want to meet me down there?" I'm like, isn't that funny? Like now I've met like a friend that like
Yep.
if I wanted to go out, I could go down there and, we could talk and just have a little fun, just being there.
I think it's fabulous what you do. And also I think another great aspect of your inner life,
Mm.
just before we started this, you said, "Oh, look what I'm drinking out of. Show everybody what you're drinking out of."
So I hope they know that we're very silly.
You're very what?
We are very silly.
Oh, silly. I thought you
Silly.
said Philly. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
get
no.
filler.
Very, very silly, right?
Very silly.
So I don't know how many of your friends out there are divorced or just single, but
Mhm.
all of my nice china was still packed in boxes after 3.5 years. And I went, what the heck? How come I'm not using my nice stuff that I really love? So I unpacked some of my china. And so now
Look at this. I love it.
and you know what I have to tell you, ladies out there, ladies and gentlemen,
And gentlemen.
it makes me feel really good. Like it feels special to be drinking out of my special teacups. And like some of my really nice wine glasses that my ex-mother-in-law had imported from Germany for me have been literally wrapped up in boxes. And I went,
Mhm.
this is ridiculous. And people are like, well, what if it breaks? I'm like, well, at least I'm using it. If it breaks,
Right.
at least it was being used, right? So I will sometimes even take one of my nice wine glasses and just fill it with ice water. Like if I'm just watching television, it's just try it. Try it. Anybody out there who hasn't tried it, try it. It has a whole different feeling.
And I think that is another great tip for everybody too, because if you feel good yourself,
Yep,
that's going to emulate to other people.
exactly.
And it just makes your life seem so much more fun, like funner.
Funner. It does. It does. Like I can't tell you, like everybody out there, I want you to do this. If you have any nice wine glasses, or if you don't, go buy one. And literally just have your ice water in a wine. I'm telling you, it just feels different. It just feels like you deserve something special. And this is like
Absolutely.
you got something special.
And it's true. We are something special. Everybody is something special. And to just use stuff that you already have, I think that's important too, especially in today's economy, because, we're in our 50s. And as we get older, we do, boy, do I pinch my pennies more than ever now. And I know we have to, but I think like 30 years ago, I would have pulled out the charge card and not thought anything of it. But today I'm like, I don't even want to spend any, I don't even want to go to the Dollar Tree anymore. Like I don't even want to go.
Now it's $1.25.
But isn't it crazy how things have just evolved
Ridiculous.
and changed, and how when we get older there are just certain things we do and don't want to do, and we just adjust our life to it. And I think
priorities.
Yes.
And I think that's another reason why at my age I say to myself, you know what, why am I going to not enjoy my life and do everything that I want to do? I'll work, I'll save for it, and I'm going to do it because you know what? I want to live like today's my last day.
Good for you. Now, what was the first concert you went to by yourself?
Oh gosh. Oh boy. Oh man. Oh.
This lady's been to a lot of concerts. You went to the Rolling Stones. I know that.
Oh, the Stones. Oh my God. That was phenomenal. Oh, that was phenomenal. Yes. That was when they were here. The November, it was around Thanksgiving of the year of COVID.
Oh God.
And you want to know something? I was like, I am going to this concert. Like a week before, I bought a ticket. I got my flight. I flew down to Hollywood, Florida. Had the best time.
That's right. You went to Florida for the show.
Yes, because it was at the Hard Rock Casino. They have a concert venue, and it's very small. It's kind of like Veterans Memorial Auditorium. Every single seat is phenomenal. That I hadn't planned on, so that was a little bit more money than I had expected. But I was like, I don't care, because they had announced it as their last concert. I'm like, oh my God, what if Mick Jagger dies before I get to here? And
that's not funny, but it's just.
No, it's not. I had seen them 2 other times, once in Boston and once at Gillette. And Gillette, they're like just too far away, So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going. And it just happened that the hotel I stayed at, everybody going to the concert was there, right? So we're all outside on the beach, like drinking and partying, having so much fun. The next night when I went to the concert, so I'm standing in line, but looking to buy something. As a matter of fact, I have the sweatshirt for you.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
It's got a big tongue and everything. And wouldn't you know, like these guys, this guy starts talking to me because we're in line, and he says, "You know what? If I wasn't married, you would be the one."
What?
Stuff happens all the time. Sometimes it can be extremely inappropriate. I wouldn't even tell you. I would not tell you on here right now.
Come on. Oh, you gotta give us one.
I can't.
Give us one. You can't do that. No, don't, because Al does that, and it's like, no, you can't be leading us in and then just no. Give us a.
I'll give you the overall gist, but not specifically what he said. So I was at Avio, a regular nice restaurant, right?
In Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's right in Cranston, and in Garden City. I love their food. I love their meatballs. So I went in. I got a Bellini martini and a Caesar salad, and there was this guy. Now I have to tell you the honest truth. He was sitting down. I sat like 2 seats away from him because I didn't want to sit next to him. I saw him. He looked at my hand. I saw him look. I put my stuff down and went to the bathroom, and I was like, whatever. I guess people do that, right? So, and this is the thing that I didn't like the most. First of all, he did not have on a wedding band, and he got talking to me. He apparently knew all the bartenders, so we're just talking. And I said, I kept moving down. I want to make sure you have enough room. He goes, oh, that's right. My wife is coming to sit here. We have plenty of room. Well, his wife came in, wicked nice lady. They happened to be going to Italy. So I was showing him some pictures before she got there. So when she got there, she wanted to see the pictures, and I was telling her all this stuff and everything. And so she left to go shopping. As soon as she got up, he looked at me, and I can't even tell you what he said.
Oh, come on. You have to now. You have to.
It was just like, I said, you know what? You're married. You should have a ring on your finger, because if I was your wife, I wouldn't stand for it, because we know why men don't wear wedding bands, because you're looking around.
So, like, I'm guessing he propositioned you.
You could say that.
Was he just like asking for something?
No, he was saying, "Oh, if it would be."
I don't know what that means.
I could.
Oh, wait, I don't know. Like you're really talking in code.
I know. Oh, he says, "Oh, I can't believe my wife is leaving me alone for 2 weeks."
Oh, so she was going away.
She was going away, and he is like, "Oh, I can't tell you." It was like,
you have to give us. Did he like invite you over? Is that what that was going?
He didn't invite me over. It was like a if scenario. Like, my wife is going to be gone for 2 weeks.
So if you're down, like we could be down together.
And in detail. And I said,
ew.
Oh my God, Kiki, I don't know what it is about me. I don't know what it is about me. I swear. I mean, I never heard of MILF in my life until somebody said, "Oh, you should go online dating." And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Well, online dating's pretty, I mean, standard now.
I know, but
just saying.
Bad. I mean, for the first time, this guy texts me back and he's something about a MILF. I'm like, I don't know what that is, you know? And so, single ladies out there, okay, yeah, we're saying go out and be independent.
Right.
If you do that, just really like make sure they text you a lot so you know exactly what these people are about. Because,
and they're not married.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe on there too. Sometimes it'll say open marriage or like looking for a third wheel. And
stop it.
There's code stuff. Like, I don't know what it means. Like this one guy says
code.
There's like codes, like code words. Like this one guy said vanilla is not for me. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. I mean, clearly I'm very out of the loop and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that, being out of the loop. Like I don't want to be in the loop.
No,
I'll like, stay outside.
Where's my knight in shining armor? That's why I don't do that. I don't do that online stuff anymore. I just didn't have good luck. I found that people, you know, if I would meet somebody, they would say extremely inappropriate things. I mean, I had to stand up one day and say, "You are a pig," and just walk out of the restaurant. Wow. So ladies, when you're doing that kind of stuff, if you decide, if you are single and whatever, just be very careful on those sites.
And also don't leave your handbag at the bar if you get up and go to the bathroom.
I do that all the time. All the time. And this is what I'm saying, how people take care of you when you're alone someplace. So you don't have to be afraid, ladies, because I was in California.
Yeah.
And, I went into this little restaurant and I was sitting at this little bar with a bunch of other ladies. And I had a cocktail. I left it on the counter and I got up to go to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
And the one lady sitting next to me, she goes, "Where are you going? Take your drink with you." I'm like, "Why?" Like, what's going on? She's like, "You don't know. Somebody could put something in it."
It's
now,
true.
I kind of think that's going overboard. I don't know. You want to know the funniest thing? What she did?
That is a thing. That is a real thing. What?
She literally took my cocktail, walked me down to the bathroom, stood outside with my cocktail until I came out and went back upstairs.
And then she put something in it. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm like,
just kidding.
My gosh, it's, you know, I'm.
It is true. Like, I think that you can't, I think being too trusting is really a detriment today. I do. I mean, because like we want to assume everyone is good. And a lot of people are good. I think more people are good than not. I do live with that philosophy. But you got the few that are always going to slip through the cracks and they do not have the best of intention.
You know, and Keek, I am so naive. As a matter of fact, when I was going to Italy, my ex-husband texted me and he said, "Listen, just be really, really careful. You know, sometimes you can be very naive." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And then I'm like, yeah, he's right. So he knows, but I felt very, very safe all the time, met the nicest people.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I would go back to my, like the farmhouse villa thing.
Now you're
Like,
talking about Italy right now, just so everybody knows.
oh yeah.
And
I
this
would
was a
walk around.
recent trip for you.
Yes. Yeah. But so the first night I stayed out kind of late by myself, but there were still some people around, but not a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. And there was an incident, and I was like, okay, no more of that. So I started going back to my room, like around 10, like when most people were heading back. And I always took a taxi at night.
Mm-hmm. You do have to talk about the incident though.
No, I can't talk about the incident.
Why? It's not like there's a police report out there or
I know,
anything.
right? It was kind of, in hindsight, it was kind of funny, but at the time I was like, I was looking shocked.
It wasn't funny because you were texting us in group chat, and I'm like, I don't even understand what's happening right now. As always with your texts and group chats. So
I know.
just tell everybody, because everybody, yeah, you have to understand this is Stacey, and these types of things do happen to her. So, like, you can't make this stuff up because it's too crazy. So go ahead.
All right. So this is the thing. I have in retrospect, because Michelle and Kiki are always saying, you have to be careful. You have to be careful, of strange guys. You don't know. True. So I was walking somewhere. I happened to go into a little restaurant, and I wanted to just get like a little tiramisu. And the waiter came out, and we were just talking like, oh, I'm just going to have some tiramisu. It's my favorite thing, yada, yada. And he goes, oh, just out of the clear blue, he goes, I just do this part-time. I'm really a teacher. And I said, oh my gosh, I am too. And he got all excited and all happy. And he's like, oh, how about if you meet me for a beer? I'm, getting off in like 20 minutes. So he brought me out to like the little courtyard. And he's like, oh, let me go get you. So he cut me the tiramisu and I don't know, maybe a limoncello. And he went back in. He was going to change and finish doing what he had to do. And all of a sudden, your words, I'm seeing you and Michelle. Be careful, be careful. I flew into a panic. I threw 20 euros on the table and I flew out of there. And I'm like running. I'm like, oh my God, he could be a crazy person. So I'm running, and there are these steps, and I misjudged the depth of the step, and I fell and then this guy comes to help me up. I'm like, oh my God, what a nice guy. Really? Yeah. He's helping me up halfway. He comes down and he kisses me. I was like, oh my God. And I really flew down to the very next restaurant, and they called me a taxi. And I'm like, what was he thinking? Like, he's my knight in shining armor. This is going to be like one of those big, dramatic moments in a movie where he rescues the girl and there's this big kiss and this big love story. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my God. I was like really now panicking. And so when I got to this, it was a really nice restaurant. And the guy was like, anytime you ever need a taxi, come here. We will make sure you get a taxi. But so after that incident, I was like, yeah, I'm going back at about 10:30, 11 the latest. Unless there's a lot of people around.
Yeah, but then you gotta cap up the story with what happened after with the teacher waiter.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, only me. So I'm walking. I couldn't even remember where that stupid little restaurant was. So I'm walking over this little bridge thing. This is like 2 days later. And all of a sudden, I actually hear somebody going, Stacey. And I'm like, who the heck? That can't be me. Sure enough, I turn around and he's standing outside the door, looking at me, calling my name. And he comes down and I'm like, comes about, maybe I was 60, 70 yards. I don't know. And he goes, what happened the other night? He says, I brought out tiramisu and whatever. He goes, I go in to change. I come out. There's nothing there but a 20 euro. I said, it was just really late. And I just had to get back. My friends were like with me. And you know what I do that's really stupid, ladies? If you do anything by yourself, see, I've learned. Typically I would say to people, oh, I'm here. They'd be like, oh, who are you here with? I'm like, oh, I'm here by myself, yada, yada. And Michelle's like, don't tell people you're by yourself. And I'm
Right.
like, oh, yeah, I guess I shouldn't do that. So you live and you learn. So take these little tips. If you out there decide, you know what, I'm not missing out on my life. I'm not going to sit home because I'm afraid. That's like, that drives me crazy. Like, no, I'm not going to sit home because I'm afraid.
Right.
But just take a couple of those little words of wisdom. Never tell anybody that you're alone. And when the streets start to get a little sparse, that's your cue to say, okay, I'm ready to go now.
Great tip. Great tip.
Yeah.
But you are, even though those crazy things happened, I mean, it sounds like Italy is a very safe country to travel to alone. If you
I
guys,
never felt unsafe.
yeah, I've heard that as well many, many times. And, you know, even though you love doing these things by yourself, you still are looking for that knight in shining armor, right?
Don't get me wrong. It would be nice if I had a boyfriend who would do things like, okay, so we would do things together that we both like, but it would be nice too, because I know there are relationships like that where if I wanted to do something that he wasn't so into, like the husband will accompany the wife just to like be a pal.
Right.
So that would be nice. And if I could do things with somebody who wouldn't like flip out for no reason, that would be great. But in the meantime, I'm not going to sit home and miss out.
For you. Go girl. Go girl. Solo traveling in your 50s. And I think that, you know, hopefully this will be an inspiration too. Like I said, even if it's one person.
You know what? When I got divorced, I'm going to tell you what my song was. I don't know, this is going to sound horrible, but you'll laugh. Okay. And all the ladies out there, you know this song. You know this song. Can you guess what song? I am woman, hear me roar. In numbers too big to ignore. And I know too much to go back and pretend. Come on, ladies, because I've heard, come on, Kiki.
Yeah.
I've heard it all before. And I've been down there on the floor. No one, come on, ladies, ever gonna keep me down again.
See, we're the same person. And rest in peace, Helen Reddy.
I know, love. That was my song when I got divorced, because I walked out on a 23-year marriage, didn't even know where I was going. And that should be inspiration to some women out there too.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
That was my song. That was my song. I can do this.
And it's been how long since you've been divorced?
About 3.5 years.
And you bought a condo on your own, and
not always easy. It's not always easy.
Right. But, just like life.
Yeah, just like life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Life isn't always easy. Whether you're with someone, it could be, you know, just as hard, even if, you know, you're two people doing it together.
Exactly.
But I think it's all, you know, like you said, it's all what you make of it. And it's what direction you want to go into. If you know, are saying to yourself, listen, I'm here all by myself all day, all night. I don't this, my life just completely sucks. You know what? Just opening that window a little bit.
You know what?
It's an inspiration for sure.
I know some people who won't even go walking by themselves. Like, go for a walk. You know what? For some people, baby steps. Literally, just walk out the door by yourself. Go for a walk around your neighborhood by yourself. Walk to the corner store by yourself. Just get used to knowing what's the worst thing that's going to happen. Like, what's going to happen? And that was another philosophy too. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then you say to yourself, well, I don't know, I might get lost. I don't know, but you know, just can't be afraid. You can't sit back and say, oh, woe is me. No.
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, people will never feel better about themselves. If you're just sitting home alone and saying, yeah, I really wish that I could go to that art festival, but none of my friends can go, and I don't really want to go by myself. If you feel like you're missing out, don't go.
I think that's the best advice. And thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for, you know, telling us things you probably didn't want to, but and singing, but I do that all the time on my other channel. So it's like, it is what it is. This is what we do. And Stacey, thank you. And I'm sure you're going to strike a chord with someone.
I hope so.
I do.
like we were saying before, even if it's one person,
Mhm.
no matter what it is, if you don't want to do things alone, step out your door alone. If you're in a bad relationship, leave. It's not easy. It's the most difficult thing you'll do in your life, but leave. Don't miss out on life, because I knew somebody who parked on the side of the road, opened his car door into traffic, and in an instant he was killed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so we don't know what life brings. So live every day like it's your last.
And those are great words to remember. And thank you. Thank you very, very much, Stacey. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good day, Kiki. Love you.
I love you more.